Hello, Mr. McTygue. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. Our first question for you is, who are you and why did you decide to run in this election?
Well, I'm Bill McTygue. I have a history with Saratoga Springs City Government. I served prior service. I have assumed the position of Deputy Commissioner of Public Works from 1999 to 2001. In 2001, I transitioned into the position of Director of Public Works, and I served in that capacity until 2008. So I have a family history in city government that goes back to the early days when the city was incorporated. Back in 1918, my grandfather served as the second city court judge. Then I have my dad. My father served for 18 years in city government as Commissioner of Public Works. And of course, my brother Tom, which most people are familiar with Tom's long tenure in the department. He served a total of 32 years. Elected 16 times in the city of Saratoga Springs as Commissioner of Public Works. So my history goes long and deep back into city government and specifically in the Department of Public Works. So I'm seeking this office because I think we are at a moment in our city's history where we've got some tough decisions to make. And I think the current attention to some of the major issues facing the community are not being addressed. I believe I can bring a point of view to the discussion, certainly to the business at the city council table. I think I can lend a level of temperament and reason to doing the city's business. And I'm anxious to tackle some of those big issues facing the city.
Great. So, speaking to your family history, and also you said, if elected, I will work to restore vital city services and department programs that years ago gained popular public support and helped our city gain award-winning notoriety.
Yes.
Can you talk more about the changes that you've seen in the past, or even that your family has seen in the past that has taken place in Saratoga? And what are some things that you feel have been lost that you would like to restore during your tenure?
Well, as I mentioned, part of my platform is restoring some of those services that the Department of Public Works a number of years ago
Can you speak to specifically what services those would be?
Yes. The basic functions of the Department of Public Works, of course, are maintenance of our city streets, certainly maintenance of city-owned buildings, and the infrastructure, and attending to the city's infrastructure, specifically the underground infrastructure of water lines, water mains, sanitary sewer lines, and stormwater carriers. The level of service that I specifically mentioned in my announcement back in May when I announced my candidacy, I was speaking specifically to the basic level of service of keeping our city streets clean and the lawn debris, yard debris pickup program that the city has had in place for many, many years now, where we offer city residents the opportunity to put out their grass clippings, their leaves and garden debris, and put it out at the curbside. Hopefully they deposit it in a biodegradable plastic or a biodegradable paper bag or a container for easy pickup. I see certainly in recent years, everybody's noticed that the advantage that we created back when I was director, we encouraged people to cooperate with the yard debris pickup program by offering quick and fast service. Encourage them to put the debris in a container that allows the work crew to come along, quickly pick it up without having piles of yard debris laying along curb lines. So having it in a container creates an efficiency that really helps the department accomplish the pickup on a day-to-day basis. What I've noticed over the years, and what I hear certainly as I campaign around the city, people tell me that sometimes their yard waste lays out at the curbside for weeks before it gets picked up by the Department of Public Works. And I'm saying, well, we should be doing better than that. We should be doing a lot better than that. That material should not lay out on the city street any more than 3 days before the city crews should be able to pick that up. That's taken it back to the level of service where when I was the director, we used to pick it up. Usually the material was picked up within 24 hours after being placed at the curbside. And we became really popular for that, delivering that kind of service. People appreciated the quick pickup, keeping the street clean. In some instances, we often heard that homeowners would say, I hardly put the material out at the curb, and it was quickly picked up before I got back to the house. So it's that kind of level of service. Summertime, springtime, summertime, yard debris pickup that I want to focus on and get the department back in an efficiency with the yard debris pickup program. Now that material, of course, is collected by the city. It's brought to the city's compost site, and it's processed into a very good, high-quality compost material. So it's a recycling program that's important to the city. It certainly makes sense from an environmental standpoint. We got to get back to the basics and delivering the service and creating a quality product that then the city sells and gains some revenue out of. In the wintertime, snow removal has become an issue in this city. Snow plowing services. When we get hit with a snowstorm, residents, neighborhoods around the city should not have to wait for hours to see a snowplow. I'm going to bring back a level of service to winter operations that, again, would replicate what we used to do during a snowstorm event. Call the crews in, don't wait until the following morning to clear the streets. There's no reason for not calling the crews in. Once you start to get an accumulation on the streets, start dealing with it right away. So that's the kind of basic service that I mentioned early on when I announced, and that's what I'm promising to city taxpayers today.
Thank you. You and Commissioner Scirocco have different opinions on the selling of water to Wilton residential developments. Can you talk about your position on these issues concerning water in Saratoga?
Well, I had disagreements with the commissioner in the way he last approached sale of city water to the town of Wilton. He by himself, back in 2011, and perhaps was in discussions with developers in the town of Wilton in 2009. He was into discussions about selling additional water to the town of Wilton. Now, my complaint with him has more to do with the way he approached that whole issue. He did not tell the city council what he was contemplating. He didn't tell the public about his desire to sell additional water to the town of Wilton. I realized that in 2012, I believe it was, 2013, 2012, that construction work was going on, laying water mains hooked to the city's water system and extending into the town of Wilton. I brought that to the city council's attention, and I said this was improper. The commissioner did not have authorization to unilaterally decide by himself to expand water sales to the town of Wilton, allowing subdivision growth over the city line. he had an obligation to tell the city council and to certainly explain to the public what he was doing in extending the city's water system outside the city. Now, all this was going on. Again, this is another major issue with selling water outside the city, and I have no problem with the city being a good neighbor and helping our surrounding towns if we have the resources available to provide them and to sell them additional water. But therein lies the problem. We do not have additional resources to sell to the town of Wilton. At the same time, the current commissioner was negotiating with the developer in the town of Wilton. At the same time he was doing that, the Department of Health was sending letters and notices to the city telling us that we had a water source capacity issue. And we needed to get about finding additional source water. So I'm saying you can't be by yourself looking to sell more water outside the city when the health department, the regulatory agency that we have to deal with, is telling us we haven't got enough water to meet our own needs.
In the same category of water, what is your position on using Saratoga Lake as a water source?
Yeah, that issue to me is not relevant anymore as far as my desire to go to Saratoga Lake as a future water supply source. I have no interest in relitigating that issue and challenging the interests of Saratoga Lake. Having said that, I will say that the city continues to have a source water problem. The city's growing. Everybody can see the additional growth that's taking place. New construction is going on all around our city. At the same time, our water source capacity is not growing. And that remains a concern, certainly for the Department of Health, and it certainly remains a concern for me, because I've lived with the issue during my tenure as Director of Public Works. We did try to focus on Saratoga Lake as a future water supply source for the city. And that decision back in 2000, the early 2000s, that decision was made based on solid engineering science and studies that told Saratoga Springs that it needed to get on looking for a alternative to our current sources of supply. Little Loughbury Lake, and you're probably familiar with Loughbury Lake, I'm sure you are. That small lake has serviced this city for over 100 years. And in all the studies that have been produced over recent times, the studies have concluded that Loughbury Lake is not able to take the city into the future. We need to find an additional source of supply that is substantial. And I don't mean by drilling a few additional wells like the current commissioner talks about. He has in operation now 3 additional wells that's supplementing the source at Loughbury Lake. And that's all well and good. That's fine. He's added some additional supply to satisfy the immediate need, and he satisfied the current requirement of the Department of Health. But those 3 wells in no way satisfies the city's long-term need. So having said all that, I will just conclude that as the city's new Commissioner of Public Works, I will not bring back the idea of drawing water for treatment out of Saratoga Lake as a future water supply source. Where that city's solution will lie in the future, I'm not sure. I believe the health department's going to have to help us in the future decide where the city's going to go for future water.
Thank you. You mentioned development. In terms of development, how would you, as Commissioner of Public Works, strike a balance between Saratoga's economic growth and maintaining the idea of Saratoga as a city within the country?
Yeah, that of course is an issue that's central in the debate going on right now in Saratoga Springs, especially with respect to the project at Saratoga National Golf Course. I'm a believer that that says that it's not, in my view, it's not one or the other. I don't think the two issues have to be mutually exclusive. We have, I think, the wherewithal in this city, and we have people that are certainly sensitive to what makes this city special and unique, and that all has to do with the outer district around the central city, what we call the outside district. So officially, it's the outside tax district that they commonly call the green belt around the city. For all my years in city government involvement, either working as an official of the city or as a volunteer activist in my youth, being involved in city government, certainly with my with members of my family being elected to city government. I was a long time ago a believer that we had to protect all that's good about the green belt around the city, and specifically the area for all those years had to do with exit 14 because soon after the Northway came through and the exit 14 was provided at Union Avenue, that area became a magnet for those who wanted to develop right off an exit of Interstate 87. So believe me, those fights were fought long ago. Many times issues and arguments arose over development at exit 14. And of course, we've managed to keep commercial development for all these years away from the exits at exit 14 and Union Avenue. Now, the issue today, though, has almost one side pitted against the other, and I think that's unfortunate because, again, I believe with good design, sensitivity to proper view sheds that are important in our outside district, setbacks, land preservation, conservation development. We have all those tools available to us, and we have people in this community that are sincere in trying to protect what's good about this community. I haven't heard anyone say that they wanted to pave over the outside district. No responsible Saratogian would talk like that. I think we're all sensitive to what makes this city unique. But on the other hand, I'm not one that automatically will shut the door on discussion that has to do with economic viability and economic opportunity for this community. I think we can be smart about looking at each project on its merit, negotiating with large property owners. Some large properties exist, of course, in that neighborhood of the city. I think the key is really being able to talk to property owners and striking a balance. Now, that may not satisfy some people that just want to drop the curtain on anything and everything. But I believe we can be smart about this, and we can satisfy the needs of the development community, of the people that are on the economic side of the issue for the city's future. I think we can satisfy that with those who want to preserve all that's good about Saratoga Springs.
Thank you very much. We have one more question for you. What would be the difference between a McTygue and a Scirocco Public Works Commission?
I want to be more hands-on commissioner. I've seen a hands-on commissioner operate Certainly, I can turn to the tenure that my brother had in 32 years in office as the Commissioner of Public Works. He was a very hands-on, very much a hands-on public official. That's the kind of commissioner that I want to be in leading the department, in working with the public employees of the department. I want to work with them. I want to seek their cooperation. And I also want to get involved in other issues, important issues facing the city today. Beyond the day-to-day operations of the Public Works Department as a service-oriented department, I want to get involved as a member of the City Council to take on some of the major issues that are facing this community. So those are extracurricular activities that I think are important for the Public Works Commissioner to get involved with. And I'll name one for instance, that's a high priority for me. We've got to come to grips with the major truck traffic issue that's affecting this city, and specifically the areas of our downtown business district. Broadway in general is plagued by the large amount of truck traffic that rumbles up and down Broadway all day long, pass-through truck traffic. I'm not talking about local deliveries. I'm talking about 53-foot transport trucks that come through this city as generally a shortcut through the city, because we're the central access of 5 major state highways converge on Saratoga Springs. So we are like the crossroads of truck traffic in central New York here. So that's the kind of issue that I know is not easy, and I don't pretend to let anybody know or let anyone believe that this is going to be easy. But I believe there is a solution to this, and I think the key to the truck traffic issue that affects not only Broadway, but it also affects our residential neighborhoods. These trucks are passing, for instance, on Van Dam Street. They come off the arterial at Route 50, they travel and then rumble all day and all night long up and down Van Dam Street. Same thing with the trucks coming down Broadway and then turning in front of Starbucks Coffee. They'd make that turn onto Washington Street. Washington Street on the west side of the city represents a residential neighborhood as well. The key to this, I believe, is getting the state involved. And I have full intention of going to the Department of Transportation and opening up discussions with the Department of Transportation and going to the Office of Governor, because I think therein lies a real opportunity to work with the governor and the current administration in the executive branch of state government. I think we could present our issue as an economic development issue, a serious economic development issue for this city that needs to be resolved. And I think, I believe that the current administration in Albany would listen to us if we frame this issue in that light as an economic development opportunity for our city. I think we'll gain their attention.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate having you here today.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.